Okay, so there's some huge news happening in the open source world, and it's all about a terminal project a lot of us have been keeping an eye on, Ghosty. But listen, this isn't just about a new piece of software. It's a really bold experiment in how the critical tools we all depend on can actually be built to last. Let's break down what's happening and, more importantly, why this could change the game for a ton of other projects out there.
It all really boils down to this one question that, if you're in tech, has probably been in the back of your mind for years. You find an amazing open source tool, you build your entire workflow around it, and it's perfect. But there's always that little voice asking, what happens if the creator burns out, or gets a new job, or just decides to sell it? How does this thing you now can't live without survive?
So, here's the plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that core challenge facing pretty much every successful open source project. Then we'll dive into Ghosty's pretty unique solution, going nonprofit. We'll look at how it's designed to solve the huge problem of trust, get into the nitty-gritty of how it all works financially, and then we'll zoom out and ask the big question: is this the blueprint for the future?
All right, first up, let's really dig into this challenge. It's kind of a weird paradox, right? A small project gets really good, people start depending on it, and that success creates a whole new set of problems.
And these risks are probably going to sound pretty familiar to you. You've got founder burnout, which is super common. There's that constant fear of a rug pull, where a free tool you love suddenly gets bought and stuck behind a corporate paywall. And underneath it all, there's just the basic problem of no sustainable funding, and the fact that all the legal and operational weight is usually sitting on the shoulders of just one person.
So how do you solve for all of that? Well, this is where we get to the big news. To secure its own future, Ghosty is choosing a completely different path.
And there it is, the headline. Ghosty is now, for all intents and purposes, a nonprofit. And this isn't just them saying they have good intentions. This is a fundamental, legal restructuring of the entire project. So, you might be wondering, how does a software project just become a nonprofit? Well, it's through a really clever setup called fiscal sponsorship. Basically, an established, legit nonprofit, in this case the awesome folks at Hack Club, acts as a kind of legal and financial umbrella. They handle all the messy stuff like taxes, compliance, donations, and accounting. That frees up the Ghosty project to do the one thing it needs to do: build great software. But this whole thing is about so much more than just money or legal paperwork. At its heart, this move is about solving for trust and making sure the project can last for the long haul. This is the real why behind this whole decision.
Just think back to those risks we were talking about a minute ago. This nonprofit structure is basically designed to dismantle them, one by one. It creates a future where the project doesn't live or die with one person. It legally kills the fear of a rug pull or a corporate takeover. It provides actual, legal guarantees that the project exists to serve the public, which in turn builds the trust you need for a community to really get behind something. And honestly, this quote from Ghosty's founder, Mitchell Hashimoto, just nails the entire philosophy here. He's saying that critical tools like a terminal shouldn't be treated like products. They're public infrastructure, and they should be protected for the public good, not for private gain. That is a really powerful way to think about open source.
Okay, so we've covered the why. It's a pretty compelling vision, but how does this all actually work on a day-to-day basis? Let's get into the mechanics.
The first and maybe most immediate change is about money. Because Ghosty is now under that nonprofit umbrella, any donation you make to the project is now tax deductible in the US. That is a huge deal and opens up a completely new avenue for funding from both people and companies.
And where's that money going? Well, they've laid it out with total clarity. First, it's to pay people who contribute to the project for their work. Second, and I think this is just fantastic, it's to financially support the other open source projects that Ghosty depends on. It creates this amazing, virtuous cycle. And then, of course, it covers community events and all the basic operational costs.
So what does the split look like? It's pretty simple. For every dollar that comes in, 93 cents goes straight to the Ghosty project to fund everything we just talked about. The other 7 cents goes to Hack Club, the fiscal sponsor, to cover all the administrative and legal support they're providing.
But that 7% isn't just some fee that disappears into the ether. The founder of Hack Club calls it a good-for-good trade. See, instead of that slice going to some for-profit payment processor, it goes to support another nonprofit that's doing really important work for the community. So that fee isn't just a cost, it's another investment back into the ecosystem.
To build that trust even further, they're committing to what they call radical transparency. There's going to be a public ledger,
Anyone can go look at it, and it's going to show every single dollar in and every single dollar out. No secrets, no wondering where the money is going.
And to show just how serious he is about all this, the founder's family is personally donating $150,000. But here's the crucial part. That money isn't even going to Ghosty. It's going directly to Hack Club, the fiscal sponsor, to support their mission and to amplify that whole good for good idea. It's a huge statement.
And finally, this might just be the most important part for building trust. There is a legal guarantee baked into this whole structure. Absolutely none of the funds will be used to personally benefit Mitchell Hashimoto. All of the money is legally firewalled to support only the project and the community. That's not just a promise, it's law.
Okay, so with all that laid out, let's zoom all the way out and think about the bigger picture. Is this just a story about one cool terminal project? Or could this be something more?
You know, it's really easy to forget that tools like the terminal aren't just apps. They are fundamental infrastructure. They're in our IDEs, our CI/CD pipelines, our servers. They are the quiet, absolutely essential bedrock that so much of modern computing is actually built on.
And that right there leads us to the final critical question. If our whole digital world runs on this foundational infrastructure, shouldn't we treat it like a public utility? Something that's protected from the whims of the market? Could this nonprofit, fiscally sponsored model that Ghosty is pioneering become the new standard for making sure our most important tools are truly built to last for everyone? It's a really powerful idea, and Ghosty might just be showing us the path forward.